just think it's you have to believe in your program like you have ownership in it. And I've said this before, like if you own a small business, a restaurant, a family business, whatever it is, everybody contributes to it. And that's the way you have to be. It's not just the owner of the store, I'm the head coach, but there's got to be so many people that buy into the program, starting from the administration, working with the administrators, getting the ticket people, getting the strength coaches, the trainers, everybody involved in your program, from then your assistant coaches, everybody involved with your athletes buying in, everybody's bought into what Tiger Style is, and then it goes to the youth coaches around the state, to the high school coaches around the state, to parents of kids you're recruiting that you may get and may not get, and that they understand this is what Tiger Style is about, this is what we're trying to do with your young, have done with the young men while they're here at their time, what's going to happen while they're at Mizzou, and what we expect when they graduate, and their goals and what their expectations are. I think when you have all that out there and people see that, they understand the process of what's going to happen from when they get to the program, what they're going to be doing academically, how the expectation is social, and then of course what we expect them how to develop on the mat. And I think when you give them all that, they understand that we have a plan in place of what's going to happen with wrestlers, and we've had success. We've developed wrestlers, on and off the mat. Realistically, we've had kids come in that aren't top recruits, walk-on type kids, become national champs and All-Americans, and kids come in that are average students and are graduated and going to get their master's program, and so we're very excited about what's going on, but it takes getting the core, the people that are going to get involved some way or another, from mentors to academic advice, everybody has to believe in the philosophy of the program and live the philosophy, live Tiger Style.
Yeah.
When I was a young coach in high school, I was kind of lost, just trying to figure out how to run a practice and how to do things and how to get parents involved. Then I went up to Cornell and very fortunate to work under Jack Spates and Rob Cole and learned a lot. I think when you're growing as a coach, you pick and choose the things that work best with you, and you find out what your weaknesses are when you work with really strong people in different areas, and you try to develop those areas and become better at it, and also understand you got to hire people and surround yourself with people that will basically cover your weaknesses, make your weaknesses stronger. And I think I've been successful with that and learned a lot from that. But I think the biggest thing I learned at Missouri was it wasn't going to happen overnight. The program was not at a point where we wanted it at. But the first level of Tiger Style in the triangle is to get people to believe. And if you can get people on board and say, here's what I want to do. And we called it smoke and mirrors, we would joke about, but getting people to believe, and this is what we're going to try and do with young men. We're going to try and get them to be successful in the classroom, wrestle really hard on the mats, and buy in, and wrestle aggressive as Tiger Style, and develop good young men that'll do things in the community with the community service projects we do. And I think from there it grew. And once you get them to believe, then there's you get an expectation. They'll want to give more, and they start to compete. One more is competing. And once you got them competing, then there's an expectation to win. And once you get the expectation to win, then you build it all the way up where all that encompasses Tiger Style.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that that have to go into that. Getting kids to see the right way and to choose the right, make the right choices. But it's a process that's been. This is my 14th year. I spent 5 years at Cornell, a year at Syracuse, and 2 years at high school that never stops improving. And that's something I will always move. When I stop coaching, it'll be because I'll tell you, Coit, that I don't want to get better. I don't want to improve as a coach anymore, and then it's time to say. But this year is really when I sat down and put the philosophy finally in the triangle and said, this is what we've been doing, but we got to be able to see it. And I made an 18-foot by 9 banner, and it's in the locker room. Every day those guys walk by, and they see the believe, expect to win, one more, Tiger Style, they see, and all the words that encompass it, that they see that stuff every day, and we talk to them about it every day, and then we expect them to live it, and the coaching staff lives it, and the mentor, and the tutors, and the administration. I think our associate AD was in practice right before we left, and just saying, hey, we had 23 guys above a 3.0, and how excited they were about that, and our team was doing the right thing there, but I said, yep, and now it's on to the next thing. We got to do well at the Southern Scuffle, but seeing the things that make up what Tiger Style is about and making sure everybody knows about it. But you know, there's got to be that positive reinforcement, and there's got to be consequences when you lose the path too.
Yeah.
I think you have to have mentors. I've been fortunate. My dad was a coach, so he was my mentor. I had Rob Cole, Jack Spades. I have some guys in the business community that I've become friends with that are somehow involved in wrestling, but they're strong CEO type, you know, businessmen, and I use them. I mean, I'll call them up, and they'll call me, and here's we're trying to do a fundraiser for our Olympic style club. Well, what can we do? And they will help me. I talk with professors on campus. I'll talk to professors from other campuses that are involved in marketing and business or just successful people. I've actually had lunch, was about a year ago, with a guy that was a very, very financially sound, a great businessman. Had sold the business for millions and millions of dollars and was restarting another one in a whole nother field, but he just knew how to sell. And he was sitting there and telling me how to sell. You can learn from that, because what we're doing is selling to 18 to 22-year-olds and their families. Here's what we're going to do, and we have to sell them that this is where you want your son. This is what's going to be the best place for your son. And while they're here, you got to sell them to believe in that this triangle, this Tiger Style stuff, you got to take it off the wall and start to live it.
Yeah.
And you got to live it and do it right, and get into, you know, getting one guy that is doing it right and four that are not. Get that one guy to bring two or three of them over, so it starts to, you know, the good starts to take over the not so good, the guys that aren't following the path, because that does. Peer pressure, adult pressure, all that has to start to happen, and good things happen there.
Yeah, and one.
Just this year alone, we've had Ben Askren come in, and he gave an outstanding talk. I mean, he's the best guy from our program. I mean, he's the legend, the two-time national champ, but he's still a young guy, and he came in and just talked about being a student athlete at Missouri and what his goals, what his mindset was, and it's good for the guys to hear that. He was basically talking to him about the levels of Tiger Style and how you have to think and how you have to do things and why he went to class and why he was successful off the mat and why he's successful on the mat. I've had Mark Ellis come in. I've had our administrators come in and talk. I've had lots of people. And from just, if I have somebody that's successful and I think they can make a difference, or just tell them about things, I think that's important. I also do history lessons. I was a history teacher, so I bring in history lessons to, whether it be, you know, going to the moon, talking about JFK chasing to get to the moon and what the mindset of the country had to be to catch the Russians in the moon race, and why we had to come together and why we had to really collectively work very, very hard, and everybody had to put aside their differences and say, we got to find a way to make this happen. Not because it's easy, but because it's difficult. And that's kind of in our philosophy, not because it's easy, but the things that are difficult, those are the things that challenge us to become our best. And that's, I think, as a coach, you want to challenge your team not to do the easy things. Everybody can make it to practice and make it through it, but what can you do? Can we get 30 guys now above a 3.0? Can we have 4 academic All-Americans this year? Can we then be in the top 10 or be a trophy team? Can we keep getting better and better and finding a way and improving? Because that's what life is about. If you sit on your butt in the chair and you just say, you know what, I'm not going to do that today, then somebody's going to pass you by.
And that's Tiger Style.
That is Tiger Style.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.